Hey, Sonny here, and this video wasn't planned, but nightcord's second World Link event just happened, and I need to talk about it somewhere or I will explode. This video will be a bit different to my other deep dive videos because this isn't scripted. This one's just going to be more just me rambling to myself, basically. Like, I'm going to talk about the event story and the cards. For the story itself, this is a World Link event, the second round of World Link events. And this time, what the World Link events are about is the tree that had previously spawned in all of the sekais. The leaves have turned black and it's wilting, and upon touching these leaves, or these black fragments, the units are transported into a dream world which shows them an alternate timeline. So Vivid got shown an alternate timeline where both Vivids and Rad Dogs broke up at the start of the story. So Vivid Bad Squad was never even formed. Wonder Show saw a timeline where instead of staying together as Wonder Show, they split apart and went off to further their talents with different theatre groups. But what makes Nightcords unique is that none of Nightcords members knew each other before they formed the group. The event starts with Kanade having a dream, like an actual dream, not a Sekai-induced dream, of when she was younger and she was at the park with her parents. And then when she wakes up, she's like, oh, it's been a while since I've had that dream. And what's interesting about this event is that all of this takes place before Mafuyu and Kanade have that dinner at Mafuyu's place. So this event is set right in the middle of, and so the clock hands begin ticking. I guess because they didn't want to set this after Mafuyu has completely hit rock bottom. What I think is cool is that this event actually seems to be more of a continuation of Unreliable Notes. I may just be delusional, but this flashback dream seems to be reinforcing that making that song whilst thinking of Mafuyu's mother did affect Kanade more than she realized. And then it hits 1 a.m. and she's like, why is no one logged in? So she goes to the Sekai, and that's where they find the tree has turned black. Then upon touching the black fragment, Kanade is plunged into this dream, but she doesn't know it's a dream. And then when we see her again, she's in a school uniform and her dad isn't hospitalized. So right away we can tell that this dream was most likely born from Kanade reminiscing about her family. But yeah, we see that Kanade goes to school. It's Mafuyu's school. So they meet there, but they don't know each other. They both refer to each other with their last name San, which just feels so wrong. All of Nightcord just refer to each other by their first names. They're very close in that way. So hearing Kanade say Asahina-san is just, it's so wrong.
Asahina-san ka.
We see that in this timeline, Kanade still makes music, and she is aiming to make songs that make other people happy, just like her dad does. And from people's reactions, it's implied that Kanade's songs are happier. She's not making Kuyamoto Kaite Mirai. She's making Viva Happy. I also like how it seems to be implied that Kanade's music is more popular in this timeline. Like, from the way her classmates talk about it, it seems that she's like, her songs get a lot more views. And then we immediately skip forward a year, and Kanade has changed classes, and she's in class with Mafuyu. Wait, I just noticed this while editing, but does this mean that Mafuyu was stuck in the dream for an entire year? And this is where Mafuyu discovers that this Kanade still makes music. And you can tell when Mafuyu first listens to her song that something's going on. Like, Mafuyu goes through the 5 stages of grief upon listening to this song. Mafuyu says that it's a good song, but she has a very forced smile on her face, and Kanade picks up on this. We then go on to Enna's section of the story, and we see that she is struggling, she's very depressed, and she's in the state she was before she joined Nightcord. She's in her room, drawing, feeling terrible about herself, and just posting to get validation from people online. And in the timeline of the story that we know that she discovers Kanade's music and decides to draw fan art for it, and that's how she joins Nightcord. Except that's not what's happened in this timeline, and that's because when she got recommended Kei's song, it didn't connect with her. And this is a part of the event that I think is really smart. I just really like it because the music that Kanade was making after her father was hospitalized was she poured her entire heart into it. It was full of the pain and the anguish that she was feeling, and that's why it connected with Mafuyu and Mizuki. because the three of them were also going through like really complex emotions, and they were able to relate to Kanade's songs because of that. Whereas in this timeline, as I said, Kanade's making happy songs. She's not making those same kind of angsty, edgy songs. So upon listening to this song, Enna feels nothing. So I just really like that it highlights the fact that even though Kanade is still writing music to make people happy in this timeline, because she hasn't experienced that same pain as in the real timeline, her music is kind of shallow and doesn't actually connect with people the way that her current music does, if that makes sense. It's not that hand reaching out to you in the darkness. Like, I'm not saying purely happy music can't connect with people either, but just that Mafuyu and Mizuki needed something that they could relate to. Because the song didn't connect with Enna, she isn't inspired to draw fan art and instead just stays in the dumps and is brought out of it by Airi. Then we move on to Mizuki, and we see that Mizuki seems to be doing pretty well. She works as a stylist and designer for a boutique, and she seems to be happy. And we also learned that she dropped out of school, and that's because it seems that the bullying was a lot worse in this timeline, and she just couldn't take it anymore and dropped out of school. Even though Mizuki seems happy on the outside, we learned that in this timeline, she's completely closed her heart off to anyone getting too close to her because of the bullying. She's like walked all the way into the closet and locked the door, basically. So while she's happy designing and all of that, she doesn't have anyone that she's close with and has resigned herself to never truly having a friend that she'll be able to open up to. And we see that this Mizuki also comes across one of Kanade's songs. Upon listening to it, she's like, wow, this is a nice, happy song. Oh, what's this other song? And then she starts making a music video for a different song that she was more inspired by. So it's the same case with Enna. They both listen to Kanade's song, but aren't moved by it, and thus just move on with their lives. And then lastly, we get to Mafuyu's chapters. And as we have seen through hints in her facial expression, Mafuyu appears to be aware that this is a dream. Now, this is one of the reasons I really like this event story. I'm a big fan of time loop, alternate timeline stories, like Kagura Project, Spider-Verse, Nier. So the fact that Mafuyu is aware that this is a dream made it really interesting to me. Because imagine being Mafuyu right now. She's thrown into this world where all of her friends like appear to be happier, except Enna. And that's the reason Mafuyu doesn't say anything about this being a dream, is because she sees that all her friends are happy, and Kanade especially is happy, and she's like, damn, I don't want to ruin that. And then at dinner at her house, we see that in this timeline, Mafuyu's mother is supportive of her wanting to become a nurse. And even Mafuyu is like, what the heck is going on? Like, who are you? And it's interesting because Mafuyu's mother being supportive obviously was born from one of Mafuyu's desires, but she's not happy about it because she's aware it's a dream. She's aware it's fake. We then see Mafuyu and Kanade at school again, and Mafuyu asks Kanade if there's like anything other than making songs that she wants to do. Because even in this timeline, Kanade is still solely about making music. Like, she's not as desperate to make a song that'll save someone, but she still wants to be able to make songs like her dad. So upon hearing Kanade say that she's only good at making songs, Mafuyu tries to prompt her into thinking about something else that she wants to do. To which Kanade says she's interested in wind instruments and also working on her writing skills so she can write better lyrics. And I love Mafuyu's reaction to her saying that she wants to write better lyrics, because you can see it hurt Mafuyu, because Mafuyu is the one that writes the lyrics in the actual timeline, and if Kanade gets better at writing her own lyrics, then Mafuyu's not needed. And you can tell it hurts her, like, dude. Kanade also says that she wants to try drawing so she can make better music videos, which again is Enna's thing. But wanting to support her friend, Mafuyu says, then you should do all that. You should do what you want to do. Then we see them playing the wind instruments together, and it's oof, my heart looking at this picture, man. And then because Mafuyu knows it's a dream, she says, like, let's have fun. Let's enjoy today. It's just oof. But yeah, after Mafuyu goes along with learning things with Kanade, Kanade wants to repay her for helping her out and supporting her. So she makes Mafuyu a song. And this obviously gets a reaction out of Mafuyu. because it's happening again. Like, even in this timeline where everything's different, Kanade still felt the desire to make Mafuyu a song. And because Mafuyu knows how much Kanade has been suffering trying to make a song for her, her first reaction is to be like, oh no, it's a good song. Yep, it's a great song. You don't need to make any more songs for me, okay? Because she's trying to save this Kanade from falling into that trap of continuously making a song to save her. But this timeline's Kanade isn't stupid. She can tell right away that the song didn't connect with Mafuyu, and she's sad about that. She's like, oh, you didn't like it. I'll keep trying then. And I just love that element of no matter the timeline, Kanade will have this desire to make a song for Mafuyu. I'm a Kana Mafu shipper if you couldn't tell. But anyway, Kanade goes home and she tells her dad about this. And she mentions that Mafuyu looked like she was upset, like she looked sad. And then the Kanade that we know starts leaking. She falls back into that habit of wanting to create, needing to create a song. And then she finally remembers something that Luca previously said to her, and she wakes up. That's another thing that happens throughout the event, is that the nightcord Vocaloids have been singing this whole time. Like, while Kanade, Mafuyu, and Mizuki are asleep in the sekai, they've been singing to them. Kanade has Luca.
あれ歌があれ今の
Mizuki has Mako.
歌
Anna has Rin and Len.
歌
And then Mafuyu has Kaito. But it isn't until this point that one of them actually breaks through and Kanade regains her memories. So she creates a song that is more akin to her current self, and she uploads it, and all of her fans are like, what the heck is this song? But because she made a song in her usual style, it actually connects with Anna, and she wakes up. And you can just tell from Anna's reaction how much being a part of Nightcord and how much Kanade finding her like really means to her. And then the same happens with Mizuki. She hears the song and is like, whoa, this song connects with me way more, and wakes up. From the lines they chose to play, you can tell that Mizuki, even though she could be happy with blocking everyone out, that she is like really grateful that she's found a group of friends that she can truly be herself around and not have to hide anything. And then lastly, we see Mafuyu looking down, and then Kanade like runs up to her, and this is like my favorite line in the story. It's literally just Kanade's name, but the way Mafuyu says it, because up until this point, Mafuyu's been putting on an act, right? And she's been calling Kanade Yoisaki-san. But here, the mask like cracks, and she's like still half putting on airs and half dropping back into her true self and being like, is it you? Like, have you woken up? I think it expresses really well just like how Mafuyu doesn't want to stay in this timeline anymore. She wants her friends back.
Mafuyu. Kanade.
And then upon realizing that, yeah, Kanade has woken up, she immediately drops the smile and is immediately back to her actual self. And then after this, Nightcord all get together and work like they usually do. And then Mafuyu reveals to the rest of them that she's been awake like basically the whole time. And they're like, what? Why didn't you say anything? And Mafuyu's like, you guys looked like you were having fun. I didn't want to disturb that. But since they've all realized it's a dream now, they're like, we need to wake up, basically. And then Kanade gets a knock on her door, and it's her dad. And it's like, this scene is so well done, because like it doesn't explain itself. It lets you realize like, oh yeah, Kanade's dad isn't going to be there when she wakes up. And we see that Kanade has realized this too, so she asks to hear her dad's music like one last time.
久しぶりにお父さんの曲聴きたいんだ。
じゃあ頑張る奏への応援歌だな。ギターを持ってくるよ。
りがとう、お父さん。
Just seeing Kanade, who's usually really reserved with her emotions, just burst into bittersweet tears. It's like, it hurts, man. And then we're back in the real world, or not the real world, we're back in the Sekai. Kanade wakes up from the dream last, implying that she was maybe staying behind a little longer to enjoy hearing her dad's music. And then, like in all of the other World Link 2 events, the Vocaloids explain what the black fragment probably was. Since the things in the Sekai are born from the residents' emotions, the black fragment is like full of more negative emotions. And then Meiko also mentions it could be a wish that shouldn't be able to come true. And this phrase resonates with Kanade because, again, I think it was mainly her emotions that spawned this dream. Like, I'm sure Mafuyu's emotions contributed, but from the dream at the beginning, I feel like it's mainly Kanade's. And then Kaito says something like, yeah, just make sure this doesn't happen again. To which Kanade says this.
大丈夫。またこんなことが起こったら、どんな世界でも、過去でも、未来でも、絶対にみんなを探しに行くよ。
And this line goes so hard. I love when Kanade goes full shonen protagonist. And it's here with this whole event that we see once again why Kanade is the leader of nightcord. It's because of her that they were brought together. Without her and what she has been through, nightcord wouldn't exist. If I was Kanade though, this dream would mess me up because it's basically implying that in a world where Kanade is happy, the rest of her friends aren't. Mafuyu's reactions to Kanade wanting to create a song for her in the dream world is also interesting because I feel like it's also continuing off Unreliable Notes, because in Unreliable Notes you could kind of tell that Mafuyu felt bad that Kanade was composing for her sake and overworking herself for Mafuyu's sake. So it feels like when she heard the dream Kanade say, oh, I want to make a song for you, Mafuyu like pulled back and tried to save this Kanade from dedicating so much of her time to Mafuyu. Like, none of this is said outright, it's all just like subtext. But I think that's what they were getting at least. Because at this point in time, Mafuyu is like feeling like she's a burden and she feels like she's the one that's causing her mother to suffer, which isn't true. Girl's just got a lot of trauma. But it feels like after seeing Kanade overwork herself, like firsthand, because she was in the same house, she doesn't want to have to put that burden on this happier Kanade. Like, there's a lot of implications that they could have dug deeper into, but like, they don't have enough time in the set amount of chapters. I am really curious about Kanade's second side story because it's Kanade and Mafuyu, but I wasn't able to pull for these cards because Rui stole all my crystals. But if anyone watching has read Kanade's side stories, please let me know what happens in them. I just wanted to talk about the cards a bit now. This card set is stunning. I love how the cards look. The gacha is called Knight's Treasure, which ties in with how they all look kind of like their hair is like crystal-y. And when I first saw them, I couldn't help but think of Hoseki no Kuni. But the crystal gemstone motif ties into tricollage, which is the event where we saw how nightcord were formed. So it fits in with that. I tried my best to work out what these flowers are, but I might be wrong. Kanade has poinsettias, which is the same flower that's on her updated nightcord outfit. Mafuyu, I think, has lilies. Enna has gerberas, and then I think it's a different flower in the frame that looks more like a passion flower to me, but it could just be another gerbera, I'm not sure. And then Mizuki has daisies. I'm not sure specifically what kind of daisy. It could be a Margaret daisy, but I'm not sure. Next, all four of them have a different item on the chair that they're floating above. Kanade has the music box that her father made. Mafuyu has a rabbit plush holding an apple. Enna has a painting, and it's specifically the fan art that she drew for Kanade's song. And then Mizuki has a bow that is like tied around a pair of scissors. And these four items represent what each of their troubles are born from. Like, Kanade's is her feeling as though she's responsible for what happened to her dad. Mafuyu's is, of course, her mother and her complicated relationship with her family. Enna's is her relationship with art. And Mizuki's is her relationship with gender expression and just wanting to be herself without being judged for it. Next, each of them have a clock behind them, and the clock hands are all pointing at different times, I think. I can't really tell what each one is. And if you look at the clock itself, it doesn't actually have numbers. They all just say 25, 25 for nightcord. And then the last thing that differs across all of them is the gold detailing in the cards. Kanade obviously has a keyboard and musical notes and sheet music. She also has the musical notes on her leg. Mafuyu's is like really chaotic, which I like because it highlights how jumbled up Mafuyu's emotions are and she's not sure what she should be feeling. These gold details kind of look like ivy, which is a common thing used to represent Mafuyu's mother. The detail on her leg is also ivy. You can also see like a single music note that's fallen off in the middle, and it looks like the music notes on Kanade's. So I think that the gold is supposed to be like sheet music, but it's gone wild and just broken apart, which could be implying that the ivy, her mother, has disrupted her interest in music. And then if we zoom in, we can see that these little kind of spiderweb strands form like a collar around her neck. Another interesting thing about Mafuyu specifically is her outfit is the only one that has a black bow on the back. Like the other three all have white bows that are stylized differently, but Mafuyu is the only one that has a white bow and a black bow, which might be tying into how she was the only one that was aware it was a dream, and like she's more grounded in reality. But Mafuyu and Mizuki also have a black bow on their shoe, while Kanade and Ena don't. Not sure what's going on with the bow lore there. Ena's gold details are really elegant and dainty, and that's because she has painted them herself, because we can see she's holding a paintbrush. The gold detail on Ena's leg is a fountain pen, as well as the clock hands behind her. And then Mizuki's gold detail is like a big pair of scissors, and she also has a little bear mannequin thing behind her. Mizuki also has this shining thread that's going around her, right? And we can see that she's holding a part of this thread that's been tied back together, which is implying that she'd once cut this thread, she'd cut herself off from her friends, but she's mended that connection. And from her expression, we can see that she's glad that she was able to connect with her friends again. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to say. I hope hearing me just fangirl over nightcord was enjoyable. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the event, or what you think of any of the other units World Link 2 events. I think they're pretty interesting, and I like how they're exploring the lore of the Sekai a bit more. I am still curious about what the door in the empty Sekai is though. I guess we have to wait for the next Mafuyu event for that, maybe? What's behind Boo's door? But yeah, I'll see you next time in whatever I post next. Imagine if Ena clicked that link and it was just Baby Shark.